Welcome to another episode of SITWITH podcast. In the studio today with me is Mr. Bonjo. Mr. Bonjo and AJ, the economist. I hope we all good. Mr. AJ, how you doing?
Good. Oh, I'm good. I'm doing great. It's a lovely weather, So
yeah.
The winter is gradually going away. So it's lovely to be here right now.
Mr. Bonjo, shout out my brother, shout out. I know it's a good season for you because Liverpool is making you proud out there in Champions League and in Premier League. I know you guys are in top form, so I hope you are doing great.
I'm doing wonderful.
Okay. So in the same light with sport, I want us to talk about the Jamie Carragher's outburst on social media about Mohamed Salah and the AFCON, the controversy and all the brouhaha around it. So, Mr. AJ, I will start with you. Do you think, or was it racist or genuine opinion of his?
It was a genuine opinion of his. It's I don't think it was an outburst.
Was it racism?
It wasn't racist. He just made a point. He just made a point that the reason Mohamed Salah might be overlooked for the Balon d'Or trophy is because he's playing for Egypt and Egypt is in the AFCON. Mm-hmm. And therefore, the people that are voting will not really consider AFCON like they consider the other major tournaments. It's just that simple. Because they were discussing about Mohamed Salah and the Balon d'Or because he has been proving himself in the Premier League, in the Champions League this season that Liverpool are there. He won the Champions League. He played the final. He lost. He won the Champions League I think the year after. But then he has not been able to get to the top 3 of the Balon d'Or list.
Yeah.
Why? Because when they are voting, they vote players that are mainly from Europe and South America. Because when those players perform in the Champions League, they perform in their domestic leagues, and then they will go on to play for Copa America or they play for the Euros. Now, Copa America and Euros, are they bigger tournaments or better tournaments than the AFCON, the African Cup of Nations? That is a story for another day. But then, when they are voting for the Balon d'Or, do they regard them as the same? They do not regard them as the same. That is why it is difficult for African players to really rank high up in the Balon d'Or unless they perform extraordinarily well in the Champions League and in their domestic leagues. That is when they get to those positions.
Okay, thank you for that contribution, AJ. So, Mr. Bonjo, what's your own opinion about this? Do you think Jamie Carragher was just being was it a sign of racism or was just ignorant or what? What do you think about his outburst?
To me, I see it differently. Okay. I really like Carragher because apart from the fact that he's an Evertonian by birth, but he served our club for a very long time. He gave his all for our club. So I really like him. And sometimes he speaks a lot of sense, if you know what I mean. But now, I think for this, I'm not in support of Carragher. But I'll not term it racism. I'll term it more of ignorance.
Okay.
It's very common in the UK for many British people, maybe even some Westerners, to be very uninformed about certain things.
Okay.
So I'll give you a good example. You can't say Mo Salah won't win the Ballon d'Or because AFCON isn't popular. Mm-hmm. The last AFCON we are talking about, we had nearly 2 billion views in our last AFCON. The last Copa America had 142 million views. AFCON had 2 billion views. If that's due to the fact that Copa America, for example, operates at night when people in Africa are sleeping, people in Europe are sleeping because of the time zones, but AFCON has 2 billion views. For example, the last AFCON had 2 billion views. For example, we are also a bigger continent than Europe. I think we've got more countries than Europe. We've got 53 countries in Africa. You understand?
Yeah.
I don't think because the AFCON is not important, the AFCON is as important as the Euro, as important as the Copa America, the Asian tournament.
Yeah.
I just think what restricts Mo from winning a Ballon d'Or is Mo's passport, not because of the competition Mo plays in.
Yeah.
Because if Mo had a European passport, we'll be talking about Mo Salah in a very different context. You understand?
But
so it's not about for
no,
me.
but then it's not just classism. But then your point is valid as well, right? But then the passport thing also brings into perspective where you play.
Yes,
If
that's what I'm saying.
you have a Cameroonian passport, you're playing for the Cameroon national team in the Africa Cup of Nations.
So
right?
then why would
if you have a French passport, you're playing for the French national team in the Euros, right? And it doesn't just go for the Balon d'Or. All right, this is the bigger. This is just a part of the bigger problem that we have in terms of African football, right? African players that represent the African nations have lower value in the footballing market and in the footballing industry than players that play for European market.
How do you mean by lower values?
I mean the best player from an AFCON competition will not command the same transfer value with the best player from the Euros. Every other thing being equal.
No, don't say that. Mo commands that. Sadio Mane was the last person who commanded that. Let's talk about the last 10 best players. Lookman commands that. You will not pay Lookman cheap. You will not pay Osimhen cheap.
This is what I'm saying. Who
was the best player of the last Euro? And who was the best player of Copa America? Okay. Let's go in that context and let's see their market values.
Okay, let me give you examples. There's this player from South America that Manchester United just bought, Diego Leon.
Yeah,
he's
Nobody knows about him.
Nobody knows about. I want to give you two examples, right? Nobody knows about Diego Leon. He's a left back.
Yeah,
they got him from Argentina,
Paraguay,
right? And there is also another player. Kone, I think Ibrahima Kone or Lamine Kone, something like that.
Yeah, from Senegal or Mali.
From Mali. They got this another player, Kone from Mali.
Nobody.
But they are both nobodies. Kone is playing in the first division in Mali. Diego Leon is playing in the first division in Argentina. But they are both playing on their 18s. They bought the two players the same year, but they bought Kone for 10 times cheaper than they bought Diego Leon. So the transfer value.
That does not give them the same value. I'll explain to you,
what
both
I'm
of them are nobodies. Let me explain to you.
But why did Diego Leon command a higher transfer value than Kone?
All right. Say for example, in South America, they already start to trade in our kind of on our local currencies. Let's say, I'll give you an example. If you want to buy a player from South America, they are already using dollars and euros. So they'll give their market values in terms of dollars and euros. In Africa, we don't still use that. For example, if you go now to Cotton Sport to buy a player, they will say you can buy him for 25 million francs. Which, if you do that 25 million francs to euro or pounds, it'll be a few quid. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we haven't entered into that market where we have a stagnant value where you can go to Africa and pick up this thing. But I'd like to go back to your point where you talk about value, because we are talking here about, I don't want us to go out of the topic. The first is, Carragher mentioned a statement about AFCON not being popular. I'll give you a good example.
No, he didn't say AFCON not being popular.
No,
why are you twisting words? Why are you twisting words?
No, he says
it is not. Mr. Eno, I don't think Carragher will. Let me just explain something. From what he said, that is actually what he is trying to say.
That's what he said.
No, it's not what he's trying to say.
He says,
Let's put into context. Let's put into context, right? The discussion was Mo Salah is tearing it up, and he is not always right now. He's one of the best in the world, but you don't hear the shout for Balon d'Or when it comes to Mo Salah. When Vinicius Junior has a good game, he's in the discussion for Balon d'Or. Balon d'Or is in the discussion. When Kylian Mbappe has a good game, Balon d'Or is in the discussion. When Ousmane Dembele for Paris Saint-Germain has a good game in the Champions League, Balon d'Or is in the. When Rafinha for Barcelona have a good game. But with Mo Salah, we don't have to talk about that Balon d'Or conversations. And he was saying that what is doing him a disservice, and it is not just Mo Salah. Sadio Mane should have won a Balon d'Or in this
he should have won.
No, that's even a long time ago.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Ronaldinho was performing more better than Samuel Eto'o at the time. You understand? And now, we talked of Sadio Mane when they won the Champions League. Yeah. There was no greater player. Lionel Messi was playing for was it PSG at the time, but Sadio Mane did not win. They gave it to Lionel Messi because he won Copa America. Only Sadio Mane won AFCON. Sadio Mane won AFCON. But the thing is,
it's not. That was not.
They are
even the
voting.
year Mane won AFCON and all of those years, Messi was better off. Messi was better off. And this year that we're talking about Vinicius Junior to win the Balon d'Or, he didn't win the Copa America. They left in the knockout stage.
Exactly.
What Carragher means is Mo Salah has done everything for club level, but he's not, because the AFCON is not that popular, or the AFCON means less. That's why he doesn't win the Ballon d'Or.
No,
but now I'm trying to explain to you that.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
But that's the truth.
No,
the AFCON means less to not to him.
No, it doesn't mean less.
Oh,
okay. Can I ask a question?
Listen,
I'm
an African, right? I'm an African. Before you conclude, let me just say something. I'm an African. To me, the African Cup of Nations is the biggest tournament for every African.
Yes, same as the Euro is the biggest for every European.
The Euro is the biggest tournament for every European. The Copa America is the biggest tournament for every South American. And for the global stage, it is a World Cup. You understand?
Yes.
But then, when they are voting for Ballon d'Or France football, Ballon d'Or is organized by Ballon d'Or France football, right?
Mm-hmm.
What he said is, I'm using his same words. He said, what is doing him a disservice? That's the word Carragher used. He said, what is doing him a disservice is the fact that he's playing for Egypt. Because Egypt are in the Balon, playing in the AFCON. So when they are voting, they don't really value it. He didn't say
they don't really value the years. That's what I'm saying.
That is the truth.
Okay, that's what I'll conclude in a nutshell. Carragher is very ignorant, because I've given you a good example. Our last AFCON had nearly 2 billion views. The Copa America, which is 10th important, had 1.6 million.
When it comes to
I give you the chance, please. But when it comes to Copa America, I had 1.2 million views. Now, when you talk about it, that's the importance. People will not view something they don't like. So,
obviously,
then it comes to my second part, which is your passport. You don't need to be in any of these things, but your passport means the fact that it's only George Weah that has won a Ballon d'Or for donkey years, for a continent of billions of people, of many talented footballers. The fact that it's one player that has won the Ballon d'Or, when we have had a generation of Okocha, Eto'o, all of these guys, Drogba and all of these guys, it tells you a lot. So it's not about this thing. The AFCON has the same standards as the Copa America. 2 billion people watch our last AFCON. Copa America 1.6 million. So you can't compare that the AFCON is not important. Carragher is just ignorant. And secondly, our passport is the reason. African, they regard us as second citizens. Even Mo Salah scores 150 goals from now till June. He won't win the Ballon d'Or. His passport is the problem. It's not because of our fun.
In line with 1 minute, please. In line with what Mr. Bonjo is saying, let me just ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
This Josh Weah issue, I want to ask, to me, I don't think it was necessary for Carragher to bring in AFCON into the conversation. Now, my point is, let me just ask this question. Was the criteria for Josh Weah to be given a Ballon d'Or, was AFCON also considered into that?
No, he was just good. He was just better than everybody.
So why can they not give it to Mohamed Salah because he's good? Why do they have to consider AFCON and all of these things?
When even Josh Weah won the Ballon d'Or, I don't think that we're born.
Yeah.
So that's just to explain to you that, and from since that time till now, you cannot tell me Africa hasn't produced any great talent.
Of course, we have so many great talents out there.
I don't support football based on where you come from, Cameroon, you come from Africa. If you are good, you are good. It's a professional game. But I'll tell you that in that time, from that time till now, we should have won at least one. But we don't win because we are considered second citizens. And I'll tell you this, even Mo Salah breaks world record in the Premier League. Liverpool wins the Champions League. We go on a quadruple. Mohamed Salah will not win the Ballon d'Or. First of all, I don't know. Another thing that we don't talk about, which is a bit into it, I don't know if there's any Muslim player that has won the Ballon d'Or.
Religion. I think
when I talk about a Muslim,
Benzema is Muslim.
yeah, when I talk about a Muslim,
Benzema is
full
Muslim.
Muslim, as you come from a Muslim country.
Yeah,
Benzema is Muslim.
All right.
Zidane has one, right?
Benzema is Muslim. Zidane has
too?
one, yes.
Yeah,
Zidane is
Zidane is not a practicing Muslim.
Yeah,
so
Zidane
we
is not
can-
it's not practicing Islam. See,
That's another
see,
thing. He comes from Egypt.
the truth is, if you want to look at statistics, right?
Yeah.
Now, the fact is, Balon d'Or nominations now, right? They look at statistics. And now the statistics go domestic competitions, goals, assists, chances created, for attacking players. For defensive players, they have their own statistics, the blocks, the clearances, all those things. Now, they look at domestic competitions, they look at your continental competitions, and they look at international competitions. So for somebody playing in Europe, they look at, if you're playing in Spain, they look at your statistics for La Liga, statistics for Spanish Copa del Rey, which is a King's Cup, the statistics for the Champions League, and if you're either a European, a South American, or American, you're from the US, they'll look at, if you're CONCACAF, which is for the North American, they look at the statistics for the CONCACAF competitions, or they look at the statistics for the Copa America, which is for South America. If you're African, they look at the statistics for the AFCON, and they join those together. And now, different competitions have different coefficients. Different competitions have different coefficients. If a player wins the Champions League and wins the World Cup, automatically that player is a prime target to win the Balon d'Or. If you win your domestic competition, you win your Champions League that season, and if coincidentally there's a World Cup, your team performs well in the World Cup, you are going to win the Balon d'Or. Luka Modric won the Balon d'Or because they performed well in the World Cup. Real Madrid won the Champions League, and I think they won La Liga.
World Cup.
They won La Liga, right? Because he performed well. And now, the World Cup, or let's even take out the World Cup, Croatia performed well in the Euros, though they didn't win it as well. So, those different competitions have coefficients. That is the reason why you hear of the top 5 leagues in Europe, the top 5 leagues in the world. England is the first. The Premier League is the biggest league in terms of domestic league in the world. Then you have the La Ligas, you have the Bundesligas. That is why a player that scores 20 goals in the Premier League has more value than somebody who scores 25 goals in the French League 1.
I don't really understand what you mean by value and all that.
No.
I still don't come to their value thing.
The leagues have coefficients.
Right? That's not how they work.
Premier League is the first.
No, they don't consider
after Premier League become La Liga.
The coefficient I can talk about winning the World Cup is overall. But I'll tell you that the big importance in this, like what Carragher said, right? And I'll tell you this honestly.
Yeah.
He's just said, in terms of national competition, they read the AFCON the last.
But that is the truth.
So
it is not him. The fact is, we are looking for somebody to blame.
He just said it in the wrong way because, like I gave you about the views, AFCON has more views than Copa America. So, for example,
yes,
if you win the World Cup based on his coefficient thing, you will be on the top. After the World Cup comes the Euro. If you win the Euro, you can come. The Euro is taken into account. For example, I'm taking when it goes to national thing.
Okay.
The Euro will come before the Copa America, and then the Copa America will come. Then AFCON will come the last.
Exactly.
You understand?
Exactly.
Which is unfair. Which still puts us at second. You understand?
Exactly. That's my point.
To ignorantly say.
Exactly. That's my point. That's my point. My point is Jamie Carragher is exposing because he is a Liverpool fan. He wants Salah to win. He said, what does Salah a disservice is the fact. Well, he was pointing out a fact.
I'm not so sure about
it I don't even care about that. But he said, they said he's not getting, because Sturridge said Salah is not getting enough shout for the Balon d'Or. And Jimmy Carragher said, what does him a disservice is that he plays for Egypt, and Egypt is in the AFCON, and AFCON is not really regarded well. And then Michael Richards said, just so you know, AFCON is a major tournament. He said, yes, but when they are voting, those people that are voting, they don't look at your stats in the AFCON and say, oh, they will choose you over this person because of AFCON. If somebody plays a final in Euro and lost, and you win the AFCON, that person will still be voted over you because the people that are voting, the panel that are voting, they value the Euros more than the AFCON. So it is incumbent of us to force it and make sure that AFCON and other competitions are at the same level. He is not the one classifying the value of the different competitions. He just said it, that the reason Salah is not getting enough shout up for the Balon d'Or is because of the AFCON.
Please, we should. Okay. That is understood, Mr. AJ. I think we should go to the next question, which is does he really deserve the backlash he's having now from the media?
What
Do you
backlash?
really think Carragher, we had the response from, I think, Rio Ferdinand and so many other Africans are coming after him with what he said. Do we think it's a misunderstanding or people misinterpreted what he said, or he was just saying a fact and people are just reacting to it?
I'll go for that. These people are paid on Sky because of the interactions they bring.
Okay.
So he knows if he says a contradictory thing like that, it's going to bring a lot of spark and all that. And he said it. That's why it's a 1.2 million pounds a year. So I don't think he's affected by that. He leaves that, goes to his family, spends time with his family, and people can talk. Most of the people are talking. For example, you see Mido talking. Where do you think Carragher is going to meet Mido?
I don't think Carragher I don't think he meant to be that controversial in that statement.
Okay.
Right? Because it was a discussion that came up and then they picked it up. And then we Africans, we love to blame somebody. Mm-hmm. Anything that just looks like racism. Look at what happened with Jose Mourinho. Mm-hmm. In Fenerbahce. Jose Mourinho, which is one of the most loved coaches in Africa, who I don't think there's another A-list coach, who has worked with more Africans than Jose Mourinho. Who likes more Africans than Jose Mourinho. Yeah. You understand? Yeah. But then, because he made a comment that Galatasaray bench were jumping up and down with every referee decision. They were jumping like monkeys. They say, he's insulting. He has black players in his team. He wasn't insulting the players. You understand? And some other people are coming out to back Jose Mourinho because it is glaringly clear that Mourinho loves black players, and he says it in interviews that black players are very loyal. He loves to work with them,
especially strikers.
They can die for you. He loves black players,
strikers.
So the thing is, we black people, we love to victimize something. When something just looks like racism, we don't want to look at the fact. We just like to cry victim.
No,
of
it's
racism.
Not like that. Don't say that.
No, that's the truth. People don't look at. Sometimes people like to cry racism.
Are you talking in perception with the thing about Mourinho and Galatasaray and all those things?
Yes.
I need to take it donkey, yes, and I know that the problem with that is that they don't understand English. When he says you guys are jumping like monkeys, they have just translated their own way.
It in their own way.
As the monkeys.
No, that's just another example. Right?
There's nothing racial. It doesn't have anything racial. It's just a context.
That's normal expression.
Jumping like monkeys.
Exactly. That's another example I'm trying to buttress this point, right? Now, Jamie Carragher said what he said. And
he would have said jumping like...
Monkey is not slow. A monkey is an animal.
And everybody...
Jumping like a kangaroo.
He wasn't calling anybody...
Racial slurs. Racial slurs are like the N-word, the P-word.
Yeah.
Those are racial slurs.
Or calling somebody, a black person, a monkey. Right? Mm-hmm. Or gesturing that he is a monkey.
His statements about black people, then monkey.
But he didn't say those black people in that group are jumping. He said their bench is full.
It's not only black people on the bench.
They were jumping up and down.
It's not only black people on the bench. I don't think so.
Yes, their manager is not black. Their staff manager is not black. Fiji is not black.
Exactly.
So he says all of them are jumping like monkeys. Monkeys do jump.
Exactly. So what I'm saying
is, what's the problem?
When Jamie Carragher said that statement, Mikel Obi, they need to sit down and understand it. And they say, what did Carragher say? You need to dissect a statement before you reply. What did he say? He said, Salah is being done a disservice when it comes to Balon d'Or voting because he plays for AFCON. Because when they are voting, they don't value AFCON the way they value other competitions, other major tournaments, right? So, does he deserve the backlash? No. Is that statement a very, very powerful statement? Yes. Because that statement can be the catalyst for AFCON being regarded as a very, very serious competition as regards to international competition.
As the CAF replied. CAF
CAF
replied.
posted some things online that talking of major tournaments. They posted some clips. They posted some clips of the AFCON, the ambience.
Yeah.
People celebrating.
Yeah.
All of that is just those are cosmetic solutions. It has nothing to do with making sure that AFCON, is regarded as a major tournament. Because as it stands now, AFCON was not regarded as a major tournament when it comes to the voting.
So what does that statement now by Carragher mean for the what does it mean going forward for African football? What does it mean going forward for African football? Is there an improvement to be done, or is just something normal?
In Africa, we don't improve like that. It means nothing. It's water on the deck's back. I understand why when they talk about they make statements like this, degrading things like that about AFCON, I understand why. If you actually sit down and watch AFCON and you watch Copa America and watch the Euro and you watch the World Cup, the quality is different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand, like for somebody, for example, the pace we are used to with La Liga, Premier League, and French League, and all that, we can't get that in a typical AFCON game. And so many people are not even interested in watching it. Equally, the kind of investment we need in an African game is not provided. I don't think that CAF provides enough for it. Or even if they make money available for it, I think that there are people who embezzle it and it doesn't go in the right way. Yeah. Because it's the same players that most of the players in each team that plays in the AFCON plays in Europe. So it's the same pace. But when we go to AFCON, it's kind of very slow. You don't get free-flowing games, goals ongoing. But, it's got the right media. Like I said, 2 billion people watched AFCON. That's a lot of like views for any competition. The AFCON is bigger than the Copa America when it comes to views and things like that. So I just think the investment is not right. It's not right. And comments like this will do nothing. You can't really. It's difficult to say something to an African man and expect change. Like, we are not heard by words.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Definitely.
But from our reactions, it shows that we are very hurt by words because people are triggered.
We are triggered.
Exactly. We are triggered. But
it's different from being triggered and being hurt. Hurt is like when something is said to you and you want to make a change. You take it so personal. But trigger is like we just
reply something.
We grumble for a few days.
Exactly. We are just grumbling. We are just grumbling because this let me get myself together. Yeah. This statement, right, is supposed to be a game changer. Okay. It's supposed to trigger a lot of change in African football because most of the industries, football, in every sport as a whole, this is supposed to change the African competition because Africans do not have the same value and the same remuneration they get abroad because they are coming from the AFCON. The best listen, Cagliari, Riccardo Cagliari, who was playing centre back in Italy in this Euro, he wasn't even that popular a player. He was playing for Fiorentina, I think. But because of his performances in the first 3 games in Euro, Arsenal already had a contract with him for huge money. But I tell you what, the best player who can come out for AFCON cannot command that same market value because AFCON is not regarded. Now, this statement is supposed to develop football because that is what people like Samuel Eto'o, they have been struggling to fight against. If you watch Samuel Eto'o's interview he had with Chouameni, he said, I'll give an example. A player from Cameroon can leave Cameroon to a team in France for 1,000 euros. Right? That same team in France, after 3 months, they will sell that player for 10 to 20 to 30 million euros to another team. Yep. Why? Because we have not given value to our own competitions that much, such that teams, when they come, they will be forced to pay that money. They know that our competitions do not have value. The players are not paid well. The players don't have good conditions and everything. So the players are desperate to leave and go to Europe. You understand? So now players play in South American competitions and they retire in South American competitions.
Yeah, that's something which is very important too because South
Africans, they play in their
country,
in their premiership. in South Africa, and they don't even live. So if you go to buy a player from South Africa, you're going to pay a huge amount of money. If you go to buy a player from France, you pay a huge amount of money. Nicolas Pepe was a one-season wonder with Lille. They bought him for £72 million because that is the value that they command. But if Nicolas Pepe was playing in Cameroon and he had 200 goals in MTN Elite One Championship, and then he went to CAF Championship and won it, he would still not command that same market value.
Yeah, absolute nobody.
Understand? But Neymar left Santos. He was playing only in South Africa. He went to Barcelona for huge money. Vinicius Junior was taken from is it Santos or Botafogo where he was playing? Vinicius Junior for about 45 million euros. He went to Real Madrid. He was about 16 or 17. Endrick was bought before he even turned 16.
Yep.
Rodrigo, all those players, they are coming. So teams are going to South America because those people, they have created a huge system and a huge league that is valorized by them. You understand? But we don't have that value. Look at Nigerian players were held they were kidnapped in Libya the other time. So we have those type of discrepancies. And this statement showing that our leagues, which is African Cup of Nations, is not valued when it comes to Balon d'Or, is a fact. And Africans have been facing this thing, not just when it comes to Balon d'Or, when it comes to their transfer value, when it comes to their salary as players, when it comes to their market value. You know, those players are not regarded. So it is incumbent on us to find a way to develop those our leagues, develop AFCON to make it a major tournament such that a performance of a player in AFCON will open different doors for him. There are players that play the Euro, players from teams around Europe. They just need to appear in the Euro and have one good game. That's it.
Well,
a big team buys them.
Thank you for the contribution. I think what you are saying is correct, and it has to also do at the level of the organization, like the football bodies in these various African countries. You know, in Cameroon, you see what Etofis is trying to do now to bring a change in the football in Cameroon is because he has understood that aside of the quality they sell in these players, and this is one thing I believe also scouts in Europe have to put into consideration. When you go to Africa to buy players, you are going to buy quality irrespective of the condition they are going to play, even though it's also one of the conditions they look at. But I believe we can do a lot to develop football in Africa.
Let me say something about
but scouts love to come to Africa. They love to
let
come
me
to
say
Africa.
something about our scouts. We do not have an organized system that gives a scout a good and an easy job. So, for example, let's say I'm a scout and I want to go and scout. Let's just say, give me a city in the UK. Just say
Birmingham.
All right, I want to go to Birmingham. And I'm scouting for people who can go into the first team. So let's say 18 to 21s.
Yeah.
I'll go to, I'm thinking about the Birmingham City Training Academy. The name.
Okay.
I'll go there and that's a good target for me, right?
Yeah.
I'll be able to know what I'm going to do because it's already graded. I'll go to Aston Villa. There's West Brom.
Yeah.
There's Wolverhampton by the South. There's Warsaw. There's so these teams are there, but they already have the standards. They already have the grading.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you. You were born in Tico. Tico United has been in the first division of Cameroon.
Even took it.
Do you know any boy? Have you ever known any boy who plays for Tico United under 18s?
Tico United
under 18s. They don't. That
I used to play on the under 18 cadre. We have cadre. No, what do you mean by under 18? You mean at the high level in national team?
No, come on. No, when I talk about under 18s, these are professionals. For example,
Tico United has. Let me explain something for you.
He plays for the under 18.
We have under 18, under the cadre, the Williams. Right. Tico United has cadre, minim, percent. They have different categories from under 12, under 18, under 21 to the first team.
Where do they train the under 18?
They train in the same stadium all of them train. And they have different hours of training.
So the under 18s, what games do they play?
What games do they play? Under 18s have their own tournaments. There's Devil League. There's Devil League.
No, who do they play?
There's a league called Devil League.
Yes, excuse me. I want to ask you this question and listen. Where, since you were born in Cameroon, have you heard that Man U FC under 18 is playing Tico under 18. Be very honest to me.
We are not there yet.
You are not versed in
we are
football in
not there
Cameroon.
yet.
No, they don't play. They play it now. There's an under
Are you
17
joking?
Southwest
We are-
tournament going on
yes.
now.
There are under 17
what
tournaments,
do you think? You
but
say I'm not versed in Cameroon.
It's
I've asked you a simple question. Where have you ever heard that Tico under 18s play Union Sport under 18?
Tico under 18.
Tico
It
United.
does not happen like that. Let me explain
That
to
is
you.
the structure I'm talking
We
about.
have a structure,
That's
Mr.
why it's
Bonjo.
difficult for scouts
We have a
to
structure.
go through. No,
Mr.
That
Bonjo,
is
we
not a
have.
structure.
Any first division team you see in Cameroon has an academy of different categories.
No, not every team has an academy in Cameroon. That's something you should know. Now, you spoke about the young guy that you signed from Paraguay,
Diego Leon.
He came from the club he came from the academy. So it's easier for the scout to go to Paraguay and scout in those academies because you guys have a Nigerian guy. He's 18 up that you bought him from Arsenal.
Obi Martins,
right? All right. Sam, I'm a scouter in England. I'll go to Carrington training ground and I watch the under 18s train. I watch the under 17s train, and I come back to Leicester City, for example, and I say there's a very good under 18 there. That makes it very easy, right? Now, if I'm a scout that needs to go to Africa to scout people, I need to go and look for people in Kanong, Tico United, Opopo, and all of these things. And the simple truth is that most of those guys there, I can have a very good player there, but he's already above age. Because it's hard to get a very talented 23-year-old in Cameroon. We know what happens. I can go and be looking there. I'm talking about a 40-year-old man, although he has a certificate to be 20.
Even
So the scouting problem is very difficult in Africa because
It's not
we don't
even
have an
about
organized structure.
It's not
Mr.
even about
Bonjo, I
it's not even
understand
about
what you're saying. Mr. Bonjo, he's actually...
It's about the exposure, first of all, right? It's not just about the age, it's about the exposure, first of all. We can have somebody like Chindo Jumbo School who is tearing up the One Championship right now. He did it last season with Young Sport Academy, right?
Yeah, it was with Young Sport,
And now he's in Cotton Sport Garoua. And they got him, I think they signed him for, how many million was that? Did Cotton Sport sign him? I think 25 million or something. They signed him for a huge
drop in the bucket.
amount of money. What I'm saying is, that's within Cameroon, Chindo Jumbo School, right? Now, what I'm saying is, when those scouts come to Africa to sign those players, the value of our league is very low. The salaries of those players are very low. Even the prize money is very low. Everything, the professionalism is very, very low. So when they want to buy those players, they negotiate. It's business as well. They negotiate money. So if they can get you for free, they would like to get you for free, right? They would like to get you for free. But the reason why you cannot go to France and buy a player for 500,000 euros is because the league is very structured. The value of the league is high. Every team can pay their player even that kind of money. And now you see South America. 20 years ago, 10 years ago even, players were leaving South America for free to go abroad. Players were leaving South America for 2,000 euros, 15,000 euros. Now, players are leaving South America for millions.
That's a structure that we don't have.
That's a structure that we do not have. That's a structure that they have put in place. So
like that means our system has had value.
Yes, to have. So our system need to have a structure that will give us that value.
Yes, but now we're talking about
we do not have
structure.
No, we do not have the value.
Let me just clarify something, please.
Another thing. Another thing. See, let me explain something to you, and I'll characterize this.
Yeah,
and you understand it very well, right? How many players from Africa, right, don't have an African agent? And I'll give you agent scouting and all of this fall in the same market. You know how many of our players in Africa don't have agents? When I talk about agents, they need to come to Europe, right? Struggle, then sign on with somebody, which is not possible. For example, every 14-year-old in England has an agent already, has a group that represents them. You understand? But people like Mane, Salah, they came to Europe before they had to sign with groups. You know what I mean? So, this is the same thing about the structure. One of the things that, if you see Clinton came out from Lyon to Tottenham, one of the things that killed that boy was an agent. Who is his agent? Or because you have somebody who is an agent who lives in Cameroon, who has never traveled to Europe, or who goes to Dubai and Saudi Arabia and these kind of countries. How would that person be able to negotiate you a deal, for example, Leicester City? You need a visa to come to England, don't you?
Well, but those
that's
countries,
just what
those
makes
Dubai
it
and
difficult
Saudi
for
Arabia,
us.
they are not even paying more than some teams in Europe are paying.
That's what makes it difficult for us.
Please, I think we have said too much about this particular topic, and I just want to clarify a point before we conclude. Every football organization in Cameroon, every team in Cameroon is advised by FECAFOOT that you must have an academy of cadet minimum percent. It is a law in Cameroon. You cannot have a football club in Cameroon. You tell me that there's no under 12, there's no under 15, there's no under 18. It is impossible. I have been there. I know how it functions. Say they need to do more. They need to improve. I will understand. Why do you think they get players to go and play under 17, under 12, or under 13 national competitions? Where they go to the academy, they go to the big teams. That's why they have academics. They take them from there and go for competitions. So you cannot say we don't have a structure. We have, but maybe they are not doing more for those players in that structure. It is understood. You cannot say we don't have. Call me one team in Cameroon that is in first division that does not have the cadet or minimum percent.
Well, I think that apart from Top Cup, apart from Top Cup, I've never had any under 21 competition under 18.
What I'm saying,
have you heard of Chan? Have you heard of Chan? Do you know the Chan competition in Africa?
The Chan competition. What I'm saying,
where did they get the players to play Chan?
Where
did they get the players to play Chan?
Those players they play in first division.
Yes,
they don't have the opportunity.
That's because
to go abroad.
They don't have opportunity
to go abroad.
Local lads
they don't have opportunity to go
apart
abroad
from Top Pamplemousse, you know all those things. I've never heard an under 18 competition in Cameroon. And
there's actually one going on down in Southwest. Do you know that? Do you know that play under 17 competition now in Southwest?
Why is it that something is going on now? Then you need to explain it to me.
You need to do research. You need to do research about Cameroon football.
That's what I'm talking about.
You said there is none. You said there is none.
Why do I need to research?
You said there is none.
I already know on Saturday we are playing Southampton. Why do I need to research?
You said there is none.
There's none.
Because you need to do more.
Thank you for joining.
You need to do more. So, okay, we have come to the end of this episode. Mr. Bojo can argue for UK.
No, I'm not arguing from that tomorrow.
Anyways, we'll consider this topic another day. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. See you next time. Stay healthy.